you envision taking this to an audience in a music sense? Like, can you see this working as something you could take and play to like a festival or something like that?
Yeah.
Or is that sort of technology-wise, is that at the moment kind of outside of
one rule of the project is that it's multi-format. So we are exploring so many formats and how it can be presented. I mean, there's so many. I mean, from iPhone up to iMacs, literally, and everything in between. There's no kind of barrier. The only barrier with the Holotronica, I think, is that we're not that into 2D. I want to keep it as a holographic project, so it's all 3D. But we're exploring immersive environments. So you may be at a festival and you've got like a dome, so we can project it into a dome. So it doesn't need to be 3D because it's so immersive. When you look up, it's like you're looking into space anyway. You get a 3D effect if you're immersed. If you've got a 360-degree dome, for instance. So that's one format. IMAX is another format. But we and Musion, who I should talk about Musion. They held a competition 2 years ago for the Musion Academy Awards, which I won the award. So I got a prize, which was to have the Musion set up, which is a holographic screen, and the staging for my sort of first show. So we hope that festivals are going to help us to get like a tent together, so we can have this Musion holographic screen in tents, and then have different acts coming in, and we create visuals for the different acts, and that's very cool because the visuals are real time, and then the graphics float above the stage or around a performer, or you can have a dancer with the graphics flying around them, or you could have a drummer with the visuals flying off the drums, and like it's a holographic effect, but it's it looks amazing. And I've been about 4 years trying to sort of wanting this to sort of be in festivals, so I think it's gonna people are gonna love it. So we're working towards that. But the other thing is we can have 3D screens with glasses as well. So that's another format that we can. So we could have a really big screen in a tent, and then everyone has 3D glasses like you have in a cinema. Maybe with headphones as well, and have 3D sound and visual experience.
So with the Musion system, you don't need glasses at all, is that right?
With the Musion system, you don't need glasses, no, which is a good thing. Obviously, a lot of people don't really want to have glasses on and stuff. I've always shied away from it, but the Musion is not really a 3D effect. It's an illusion of 3D, but it does give you the effect that there's something 3D hovering above the stage if you're in the audience. So it works really well. So that's one avenue we're exploring, but it's not the only avenue. And also we've just started combining 3D projector with the Musion. So the award ceremony this year, I just did a short piece. So we had the visuals on stage, and I was able to push. Everyone had glasses, and I was able to push the visuals out into the audience and then come back again,
wow.
Which was really. So you have the visuals floating, but they're 3D as well. So you get a really good, like, proper holographic effect. That's the best thing so far I've come across. But we're still not yet there yet. The dream has been to get the holographic projection systems and stuff, but we're not quite there yet. But I do see it happening in the next 5 years. 5 to 10 years.
So you're basically constantly pushing up against technology, trying to wait for it to catch up with what you're trying to achieve.
My whole career has been based on, that's part of it. You've got blending the music and the visuals together, but there's a third component, which is using the latest technology to create your vision. So that's all. It really makes it really interesting because the technology is changing every month, every few months. So you're constantly on this sort of this edge of creating some new things. So we're just still doing that. I don't think we're there yet, but the latest Holotronica project is the best, the nearest I've been to the vision that I want to create.
I see Toshiba are doing sort of glassesless or naked eye 3D on a flat panel now, but I think there's like a viewing angle issue associated with that.
Yeah, auto stereo screens. I've been doing some installations with those. They work really well. They're not as high definition as the TVs you get at home. But I see that technology could be the way forward for all home television in the future. That once they've got the technology better, that's quite likely to be how all televisions will be in 5 years' time, 10 years' time.
Because I think the glasses definitely are a barrier for some people, and I suppose it's also an expense thing. If you talk about the kind of projects you're talking about with a whole audience, doing glasses for the entire audience, I mean, that can't be, I mean, if they're active ones, then that's got to be...
Well, that's an expensive thing, yeah. No,
Yeah.
there's a projector out that you can use passive glasses with. A single lens projector that will use passive glasses, so I'm looking into that at the moment as an option.
And what software are you using on the visual side of things?
Well, for the real-time visuals, I've been programming in Quartz Composer and being triggered by data from Ableton Live. For the visuals on the Blu-ray, we're working in Maya. I'm working with Tom Wall. He's animating everything in Maya.
Right.
So we're using MIDI data to control everything in Maya, which is a first for us. I mean, and it's to good effect. So yeah.
Okay, so Maya can accept the MIDI data that comes. Well, that's for rendered parts. So you
you give it the MIDI data and it uses it to trigger the animated parts. You
points.
tell it what to do basically.
And so that gives you like a timeline inside of Maya that you can then kind of work
which is
everything
really
back
cool.
against.
Which is obviously you're getting just I love the look of the Maya stuff. It's really nice.
Well, a lot of the film stuff's done with Maya.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it?
I mean, I think Toy Story is probably done in Maya, isn't it? And
yeah, so it's a fairly serious.
Yeah, it is.
A very serious package.
I've done some performances. They've been very experimental with the Musion screen. So you can stand on stage and you can actually blend the graphics with myself. You know, or a performer. So I've got hold of an eigenharp. They've lent me this eigenharp. So I've every key on the eigenharp I've assigned to a cube on the visuals, and the cubes float around me on stage. So they appear to float around me. There's 125 cubes or something, and each is assigned to each key. So a cube will pop up to each cube and play like a Moog sound.
Wow.
So I can then play digitally, and they're in an array around me on stage. So.
And what's the visual feedback to the cubes when you per note? So
well, I hit a note and the cube will pop up.
Ah, I see. Right.
I can't actually see them hit, but from the audience, it's like an effect. But yeah, that was very experimental, but I think people were really into it. I thought they really liked it.
So, do you have future plans for Hexstatic, or are you guys taking it easy
Yeah,
for a bit?
well, we've decided to do our solo projects, me and Robin. So Robin's been doing a Hexstatic Presents trailer tracks. It's more of a dubstep and remixing old films and stuff. So he's been doing that, and I've been doing the Holotronica project, which I hope to release this summer as a 3D Blu-ray. And then we hope to converge again at the end of the year to start making a new Hexstatic album, which I kind of see now as my 2D projects that I work on, and Holotronica being the 3D project. So I've got two different, which is a good thing, I think. I had to sort of take some of the work I was doing as Hexstatic, like videos like Pulse and that track. I decided to give those a new lease of life as Holotronica. Those ideas that I had, sort of really combining sound and creating visuals that represented sound, and taking that on and giving it its own kind of project. That's what Holotronica is about, really.
I kind of initially thought of Hexstatic as a VJ, for lack of a better word, a visual music thing, but you guys also do a lot of work inside of the art community as well, don't you? Sort of like installations and things like that.
Yeah, I mean the whole installation thing. That's been my Holotronica thing. Really is doing 3D installations, but I want to do more installations in the future. I think it's a really interesting time at the moment because technology is becoming a lot more accessible to normal people. So rather than being consumers, we're being creators and having tools so where we can get a chip and then we can get our computer to program it, and then it can be a standalone. It can be we can make a standalone project like the Arduinos and all these sort of these emerging sort of technologies. It's really fascinating. So say if I want to make a product now, I can actually make it myself. I don't need a big company to. They're not the only people now who can make things. You know what I mean. So that's I'm really fascinated by that. And so branching out from inside the computer and out into the real world where it can be interactive, taking all the ideas with Hexstatic and Holotronica and putting that into gallery spaces and having it interactive. That's definitely my next thing I'm getting into more.
So, going forward, do you think that is? I mean, you're saying that's exactly what you're saying. Being art, these kind of installations are the way forward. Do you still see it as festivals and things like that as something you want to still pursue, or is there kind of a barrier when you're creating something this immersive for people to go and dance and go crazy? There is a little bit of a conflict there, isn't there, between something that's with music, with just straight music, people can go and go crazy or whatever, whereas with something like this, it's such an intense and thing that requires so much focus or draws so much focus that maybe that's not necessarily hand in hand with like a festival or a clubbing experience.
Well, we'd love to take it to festivals, and I think people would. That's the place where people will be the most open-minded towards it. But the other idea is to have it as have a club/gallery experience. So you have a holographic display, very comfortable surroundings. So it's kind of like a club, but it's like a looping gallery experience. So you can come and spend as much time there. You can experience the album how it should be experienced, in that kind of environment, and you can stay as long as you want. I think that's an idea that we're exploring as well.